brown cow. Brown chicken, 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 brown cow. This is fun. Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow.
Hi, and welcome to the Brown Chicken, Brown Cow podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Jessie, and sitting with me here is our other co-host, the beautiful, the lovely, the talented, the wonderful Sean Monkey McInerney.
You are killing me now. Well,
as I was announcing him, he started giving me this like malicious look. It was just like you did. I don't know if it was intentional, but that's the look you gave me.
Well, I do have a resting asshole face.
Wow,
yeah.
that sounds
That's why I tried to
like
smile.
a serious medical
I did. It is. I try to smile and be happy and not let people see that I can. You know, I get very stern and I scare people.
Like Howard Stern.
Like the kittens you left last week from your car accident.
Yeah, there's a lot happening here at Brown Chicken Brown Cow Studios, but we're really excited today. We've got a really cool guest. We have Kitten Khaous. I'm actually going to ask her in a minute to make sure that's how we pronounce her last name.
Oh my gosh.
But she has a really awesome background. So she's been doing public performance as a genderqueer performer for 6 whole years, which is really awesome to have a seasoned vet on the show. She's been performing in a bunch of different venues, including burlesque shows, belly dancing, and traditional and non-traditional drag shows. So obviously she's done a lot of performing, which is amazing. Monkey, do you want to talk a little bit more about our awesome guest?
Oh, there's so much. I mean, if I had a credible bio like this, so people might actually believe I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But you know, she's performed with the Sharron Needles of RuPaul Drag Race fame.
I like how you said the Sharron Needle, like
Sharron
the
Needles.
Sharron Needles.
Yeah.
Just making fun of you just a little bit.
Well,
just
you know,
light.
it's all right. You can
Just
make
poking,
fun.
Just poking him.
I'll start doing voices again. You watch it.
All right, that's fine.
Okay. And Kitten calls herself pretty much a performing artist and a living artwork.
I love that.
I love that idea. That's
I want to call
fantastic.
myself living artwork. I got to earn it though.
Yeah, well, I don't even like calling myself. So, and she's also an over-the-top goth princess, rockabilly girl, and 50s psycho hostess.
That's the fucking coolest thing.
Those are 3 different things that sound amazing.
That's a lot of cool nouns.
We're going to have to get into what each of those is, because that's an amazing little
Seriously
set of,
is.
Yeah.
We should just bring her on. Do we want to bring her on?
Really? You ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Hold on, let me put one of your kittens down.
Well, we got a kitten we need to pick up now.
Okay, well, the kitten's gone. All right, so Kitten, how are you?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you all?
Oh, doing great. Thank you so much for being
fabulous,
on the show.
beautiful, wonderful, and all these other great things I'm hearing.
Well, let me fan myself, darling. It's okay.
We're doing great. We're so excited to have you on. So tell us a little, so we've, introduced you just a little bit, but is there anything we left out? Anything else you want to mention about yourself?
You guys did just such a wonderful job.
Oh.
I don't know how I could even close to topping anything you just said.
Lies.
What I do is mostly performance art sort of stuff. So it often changes really quickly. So that's why it sounds so awkward when I say it, beautiful when you guys say it.
We should just provide a service where we just announce awkward things, but in like a podcasty voice.
In a podcasty voice,
And
you too can sound like this.
I think we would do a great job. I think.
I
Awesome.
totally agree.
Sweet. Thanks for the endorsement. Well, you've got a really awesome background. So you performed as a drag queen, both as a male and a female, before you transitioned, and now you're performing as a female. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That is so cool.
Well, I started off as studying fine arts at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Ooh.
And in studying, and I started doing performance art.
Mm-hmm.
And it started off just doing things you'd see every day, like as a shoe shine, as performance art. And basically what I was trying to do is understand what the 2 people involved with it were experiencing.
Oh, this is so cool. Okay.
And that moved on to doing, as I was going through a gender transition, I was trying to figure out how would I best learn how to be the best female or the most feminine I could be. And to me, nothing says feminine like a drag queen.
I love it. Okay.
I know. There's going to be lots of feminists who want to shoot me in the head for just saying that one thing.
Oh.
none here. So
No.
As a learning tool, it helped me a lot.
that is really cool. I have a lot of follow-up questions
Oh,
about
boy.
you doing shoe shining as a piece of performance art. So you said that you were trying to kind of figure out what the participants in just like someone having their shoe shined were doing. Like, tell me more about that. I'm so fascinated
Yeah,
with
let's
how you
start off
turn that
with
into
what is
performance
shoe
art.
shine, and then we can go deeper.
Well, you take it for an example of barbers are a lot more talented at this than than I was, but it's at any time when two people have to do something that brings them together in a very intimate way, but have no intimate relationship to start with.
Oh, I like that.
And much like the Japanese tea ceremony, shoe shining or boot blacking are the two people interacting with one another, spending time with just those two people. It could be even in a large crowd, but if you have a good, like an airport, a good shoe shine, or in another environment, a good boot black, they can get you to totally concentrate just on them. So they have something Foucault would call the lure, and is able to bring in that person, make them concentrate on just the interactions going on between the performer, the person doing the shoe shine, and the person experiencing it. And the Japanese tea ceremony is probably the best analogy for it, because you have the person preparing the tea and they're doing it very ritualistically, but in almost everything you read about it or experience about it, they're going to say this is about the experience.
That is so interesting.
And when you bring it back into America and try to get away from it being some strong ritual thing, boot blacking is a perfect example of two people building an instant relationship, and you're able to view it live on stage.
Wow, that is so fascinating, because I guess that's true when you have any kind of experience like that. There is some level of intimacy to it that you're not really supposed to address.
Yeah, and the other part about it is, where does it go from there?
Yeah.
What is when you start to have a more intimate relationship with somebody who does something like your waitress or the person that does your dry cleaning? At what point does that become the performance art of your life? The performances, because they want you to have a good time. They want you to be happy. The same thing the performers are looking for on stage in that little 10-minute or 12-minute skit that somebody does is the same thing your dry cleaner wants you to experience, oddly. Especially when you're more than a commercial transaction, when it's a friendship.
Wow.
So that's what I was trying to grasp on as a performance artist, is this idea that are these basic things we do every day, and how does it become an intimate relationship?
That is such a beautiful way to approach it. So, okay, it's very clear that like you are very serious about your study into performance art and fine art. So, getting back to your career as a drag queen, how, since you've transitioned, how has that sort of changed how you've performed and how you were maybe received by audiences and other performers?
Actually, it's kind of the result of I should go back. To fully explain it, I kind of have to say that this was how I learned to be able to project myself as female. Before, when I was thinking about doing a transition, biggest problem I had, because I'm 6'1", 250 pounds. When I walk into a room, it looks like a football player or somebody, the schoolhouse bully just walked into the room. And the part I needed to be able to learn was how to reinvent myself in a female form. So when I was able to come in like I am now, I'm able to present a female embodiment. Because it's really the most difficult part of a transition is trying to occupy space in that new gender.
Right.
So doing the drag stuff was what I started off doing, was the drag university, something like what you saw on Drag U. And a lot of people would compare me in the beginning as a trucker. I'd walk on stage and I'd be teetering, tottering. But
high heels.
Tottering.
the sorority of drag queens really educated me and really taught me a lot of the things that I needed to learn to be able to embody female persona. So that's what helped me on my transition. So when the time came for me, and it took me about 5 years to go from what I wanted to do to being able to do it every day. And a large amount of that was learning how to belly dance and learning how to do drag.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That does. So it seems like you were learning how to claim your own femininity using drag.
Absolutely.
That's really beautiful. And I feel like that, I mean, you know, femininity
because that's,
is so
and I also want to go
subjective.
back, that's my brand of femininity.
Of course.
And
It's so subjective.
so I want to support that gender spectrum as we're talking about it,
Well, there's
because
no
you
right
look
or wrong way
at,
to be
especially when you look
feminine.
at burlesque
Yeah.
and drag today, you will see a huge amount of gender expression. And I don't want to say that there's any perfect method of it, because I've seen some really great drag kings, and I've seen some really great burlesque performers who are doing much more male-oriented performances.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was considering as I was performing, is gender on a spectrum, and how do I move from one side of the spectrum to the other.
Right, yeah. That is really cool.
That
That's a beautiful way to kind of learn that form of self-expression.
Oh yeah, that is fantastic. Well, Kitten, we have a lot more questions, and we're going to explore a lot more about your background and history, and maybe some advice you have for our listeners. But first, you know, we have a few breaks. I don't know. They may have told you. Who knows? You know.
Yeah.
You know, the madam sometimes, you know, tells people. Sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she just leaves me out to dry, and sometimes she just tries to make me blush.
And
so,
it's succeeding.
oh geez, what are you doing? No, now she's gonna throw something at me. Great. So we'll be back in just a moment after these words from our sponsors.
Wonderful sponsors. Let's see them.
Hi guys, it's Sean Monkey McAney from Brown Chicken Brown Cow. You know what I suggest? I suggest you go to luckybloke.com. Why? Because you can order your condoms online every month. Let's say you have multiple lovers that require different types of condoms, small, medium, large. You don't have to go to the store and buy all these different condoms. You can actually order them from Lucky Bloke. Let's say you have a lover that's latex sensitive. You can get latex-free condoms in that same package with everything else. It is a fantastic program. It is a monthly service. You need to go to luckybloke.com and tell them Monkey sent you. Trust me, they know who I am. Welcome back to Brown Chicken Brown Cow. I am Sean Monkey McAney. I'm just hanging out here with my co-host Jessica. And oh dear.
Hey.
Hi.
I don't know what that was.
I don't know what that was.
Sorry,
It
it
just
was
made me a
weird.
little uncomfortable. It's okay. I'll get over it though. I'll get through it.
Yeah.
You know.
You're strong.
Just put down the knife and we'll be fine. And we're talking
I
with
will not.
Kitten, and she has an amazing history background. Kitten, how has performance art affected, you know, your life and how you look at it? Because it sounds like you're so deep and passionate about it. How has it changed or modified and helped you look at the world around you?
Well, I guess that's a great question, and trying to grasp onto how I would, because it's been such an everyday thing of my life for so long, the biggest thing that would come out of how it's changed me. I think it's more noticing how people react to me, because being on stage, especially in small venues where the lights aren't on your eyes, you're actually having interactions with the crowd like a lot of drag performances are, you start to understand how people are seeing the performance and that what are they trying to get out of it. And I don't think I got that as much before doing drag, being able to quickly look at somebody and try to understand what they're trying to grasp from their being a part of the audience. And a lot of times it's just trying to say hello and trying to be a part of who you are as a performer. Lots of people being supportive, lots of people being smiling, but oftentimes you'll see this one person who is just really needing a point of interaction, needing to be said hello to. Because we're doing the lip syncing, and you're able to take a moment and interact with them and give them eye contact.
Right.
Was something that I learned through doing drag that I'd never done before as much, is being able to do that in a group of people to one person while still entertaining a large group.
Right.
I know that sounds complicated, but I don't know how else to put it.
No, that doesn't sound complicated. That makes sense. It seems like that kind of, seeing that kind of interaction and being kind of immersed in that constantly would have an effect on your life, where it starts to kind of shape the way that you perceive things. Is that kind of how?
No, I agree with you totally. That's a good synopsis of what I just said.
Yeah.
As I get, you guys are much better at this than I am.
So for someone who's, interested in performing, what advice would you have for a person who would be interested in performing?
Being interesting, the thing I have a lot of respect, and I didn't really know how much hard work it was. I thought, hey, you get up on stage, you lip sync, it's a drag. It's not that hard. And oh my God, is it hard.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I would most say is that somebody should understand that, well, 2 points. First, that you basically have to make it your biggest hobby for a long time to be able to work out, and whatever performance the person's doing, there's a lot of practice. It's like 90% practice and 10% performance. So you have to kind of schedule that.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And then the other part about it is the never get discouraged. The biggest thing that eats me up is people think I suck. I'm a great big drag queen, and they're gonna hate me because I don't look feminine. I don't wear a crown. I don't walk femininely enough. I am my own worst critic. And because of that, I give myself a lot of negative talk. And oftentimes that's the thing I have to get over the most, is the negative talk that's in my own head. So I would say, don't get down on yourself. People are going to be a lot more positive to people performing, especially when they're starting. But don't give up on the practice either. One does not relieve the other.
Definitely. I come from a performance background, and I would say that, it can be tough sometimes when you're getting that hard on yourself. And I think a lot of the time that ability to be introspective is also what can make you a good performer, is that ability to self-critique and to say, okay, what can I do better next time? Okay, why did this not work? Why was this not effective? But it can be dangerous to kind of get into that territory too much, where you start negatively influencing yourself with too much criticism.
You can go down the rabbit hole of negative.
And that's the way of balancing it too, is trying to tell somebody new, just get up on stage and do it.
Right.
But it's still a lot of work if you love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, speaking of loving,
I don't want to ever discourage anybody, but God, I've done a lot of working out with this belly dancing thing. It was totally different muscle movements, and I was like, that's so hard. So I'm like, please don't let the hardness change your life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So, speaking, you've mentioned a lot about practice and the performance and everything that goes into it. I'm sure how you select or how you come up with your performance or decide what it's going to be has a lot to do with how much preparation you need to do. So how do you decide what performance is going to do?
Oh my God, it's such a growth of a drag artist to know that too. It's so weird. It is something that's strange because you're not going upon your talent as a singer. You're not really going on your talent as a dancer. You're going on what inspires you by music and building costume and setting up a story that entertains people. But my music tastes are very dark and gothic-y, and they run really deep. So if I'm listening to Norwegian rockabilly music, and then I try to take that Norwegian rockabilly music into a club, that was one of my biggest fails, because they were speaking English so you could understand the words, but nobody already knew the song.
Oh, right.
And with drag, that's so important. It's like, for some reason, there is a huge songbook of drag music, and drag audiences want to see that. They want the "You Will Survive" and great gay anthems. Yeah. And
Born This Way.
If you don't know how to do those, then oftentimes you will like myself, overshoot the audience really quickly.
Know the audience for sure. Yeah.
So, as much as it is something that moves your own heart, I would say also knowing that you're a part of what type of audience you're going to.
Absolutely.
Really dictates what type of music you should do.
Right.
Right.
And that's something that a lot of newer drag queens have to grow into, because because we work on tips.
Right.
Right, definitely.
So how well you interact with the crowd and how well they love your music is directly, you can see it, and it's almost tested every performance.
Right. Well, so you got the honor of performing with Sharron Needles, and for those of you who don't know Sharron Needles, she is a drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race. What was that like to get to perform with her?
Oh, I can't say enough good things. She's such a wonderful performer.
That's awesome.
And me being a little goth princess and wanting to grow up to be just like her, it was like a dream come true. In fact, I did this little girl act and had a little rag doll, and she was so kind, she signed the back of the head. She almost tore off the head to write on the back of it. I was like, oh my God, she's killing my doll. I'm like, oh, this is so Sharron Needles.
That's
torturing
really
some little girl to give her a keepsake from her performance is kind of just the sort of thing that would happen at a Sharron Needles show.
That's amazing. Did you learn anything specific from her during your time working with her?
You can never go over the top in a drag performance. I keep thinking I'm going to shock or be too much. There's not enough gemstones. There's not enough. You can't go over the top.
You see, that's my
the thing I learned from Sharron Needles.
That's my problem, Kitten. I go over the top, and people say less is more, monkey. Pull it back, because I am not a drag performer.
That's what you got to do, monkey. Become a drag performer.
Become a drag performer. I can just keep going.
Say, I got a dress just for you, monkey. Come on, we'll get you set up for a drag.
I am about 6'1", so that there we go.
So there we go.
What's the size? I think I got the heels for you.
I'm in sandals
excited.
today. I would need some training. I hear that if you vacuum in heels, you're pretty much good.
Oh man.
I tried doing the stairs with the heels.
Yeah.
As soon as I could walk up and down the stairs, I felt comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, being a woman's hard.
But vacuuming's good. We got a little apron. Little apron and heels. I'm sure you'd be adorable.
I would be so cute.
Yeah, that's great. All right, we're gonna take a quick break really quickly to hear some more from our sponsors, and I'm gonna take Monkey aside and talk to him about using that voice, like how we talked about. We'll be right back.
Hi guys, this is Sean Monkey McEnany, Monkey for short. You know what? If you're in town here in Sacramento, or if you're anywhere, you need to check out Midtown Moxies. They are a Sacramento burlesque troupe that is blowing my doors off. They are amazing. Generally, they have 2 shows a month. One called the Midtown Moxies and one called Moxie Crush. You need to go to midtownmoxies.com or find them on Facebook. They are amazing. They're beautiful. They're funny as hell. Trust me, I wouldn't be advertising with them if I didn't believe in them. They are freaking fantastic. Enough said. Go to midtownmoxies.com. Welcome back. I'm still a bull in a china shop. They tried to put me in a dress. It didn't quite work out.
Next time we
fell
maybe
down.
shouldn't have a drag show in a china shop.
Well, but that was Ein's suggestion.
You gotta listen to the stage manager.
The Corgi stage manager. She has great ideas.
Yes.
So we're still talking with Kitten. So Kitten, can you expand on, because I've been to a number of drag shows around town here in Sacramento and in the Bay Area. So, Kitten, can you tell me what the difference is maybe between like a traditional versus a non-traditional drag?
Oh, yeah, sure. Non-traditional drag is anything that from females doing drag, like what's called faux drag, to Sharron needles and gothic drag. So you go to what is traditional drag. Imagine Barbara Streisand,
Done.
Bette Midler,
Yeah.
and then doing a straight performance where you're not trying to make any type of joke from it. So you're trying to be as glamorous as possible, sing it straight, and have an interaction with the group.
And I've seen those performances, and they come off beautifully. And like I said, I also love the performances where there's a lot of humor and comedy in it. So,
yeah, that was what was what would be called original or comedy drag.
Okay.
Drag was originally designed by ex-military people to kind of make fun. Much of what you see in South Pacific.
okay.
And then you have non-traditional being drag kings, where a female is trying to act like a male. And then, what else is there? There's all types now, where you have complete performances of, or where they're not making a joke of it. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, where they're doing charity work, and they have a charity mission, and they do it as drag queen nuns, which in itself sounds funny, and they don't take themselves seriously, but there's no definition of when the act ends.
I love that. The madam is advising me to ask you about camp drag.
Camp drag?
Camp drag? Camp drag.
Camp drag,
Camp
that's
drag?
original. That's what I meant by original drag. Whereas somebody who is... The best example you can see of it today is where somebody still has their beard on. They're being female, they're dressed in female garb, but they are not, but you can tell quite easily that they're not female. Like they're wearing a coconuts for bras, like in South Pacific.
Right.
That's very cool. So, all right, this is kind of a broad question, but what is the most fun part of performing to you? I guess since you've done so many different kinds of performances, I'll just kind of ask you about each of the types. So, what's the most fun about drag? Let's say, what's the most fun part about performing drag?
It's being glamorous. When somebody goes up and says that you're such a pretty girl.
It is nice being told
And
that.
because that's the thing I never thought I could be.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so then how about as a burlesque performer? What's your favorite thing about it?
Burlesque, you would think it's almost the same thing, right?
But it's not.
The first time I walked into a burlesque performance, nobody tipped me. I'm like, what the hell? Nobody's tipping. And they're like, no, they don't
set the place
tip.
on fire.
Like, what, I'm supposed to get naked without showing anybody, without any money? I'm like, I'm not down with this. But, so my favorite part about it is, it's a completely different tradition, and people think they're the same. So, the chance to learn a new tradition was wonderful. The people that do it are wonderful.
That's really cool. Okay, so how about just performance art in general? What's your favorite part of performance art in general?
Oh, this is going to sound so campy because it sounds like it's just the thing anybody would say, but really it is being able to have a relationship with a person.
That's
When
Not
you guys are out in San Francisco, Midori, do you guys know Midori?
some of us do.
Some of us on the crew do, yeah.
One of the best relationship, that's how we started our relationship, was doing a performance art piece. And she was the audience and I was the performer. And we were able to build this very long-lasting relationship from what was basically a quick shoe shine. And that's where a lot of great friendships have come from, is the ability to do a piece of performance art with somebody and allow that, and because it's about relationships, watching a relationship grow from this little seedling of an idea you had of, I'll just shine everybody's shoes until I get to meet somebody.
Better than online dating, I guess.
It's much better than online dating. I'm such a bad online dater. I can't do it at all.
It's not for everyone.
Really, it's not that hard. September 5th, 1922.
Wow,
August...
shut the fuck up.
Oh.
That's what I say when someone tells us
I think we have to make a difference between online dating and telegraph dating.
Nice.
That's a good point.
Okay, so I'm going to dip into a little bit here because you have two different, once again, you have drag and burlesque that you do. So let's talk about the drag and how do you figure out your look? You know, your costuming, hair, makeup. How does that all come together? Is it based on the piece you're doing, or is it based on your character?
It's three things.
Mm-hmm.
First off, we'll talk about the foundation. The foundation of drag is a costume in and of itself, or what somebody might call their body. It's incredibly painful, and people will love wearing 5 pairs of pantyhose to lower the foam padding that's necessary to make it look like you have hips.
Wow.
So you're often wearing a girdle, a corset, several pairs of performance tights, and then the whatever's making your cleavage. That changes for a lot of people, so I don't want to say that there's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would love some advice on how to make that happen, though.
Yeah. And so you've got this foundational outfit that you're wearing, and that's pretty standard. And it's kind of almost a brand to you. Then what you have is, what is the theme? Because drag performers are often doing 2 performances a week. And in doing 2 performances a week, you can't have the same costumes every night. Nobody wants to see your Bette Midler again and again and again.
That almost sounded like a euphemism.
Yeah, you're constantly having to change. And that's the one thing that's really different with most drag performance versus burlesque. Burlesque may be once a month, maybe twice a month. So you can really have an act like doing a hula hoop act, and it be your thing. Ugh. With drag, you're really expected to do a new song every performance. Wow. So a drag performer's repertoire may be 20 or 30 songs. So they're building costumes that allow them to say, hey, it's obviously I just changed my act, so I continue to entertain you. So you do either the theme of the music or the theme of the night, and you build a costume upon that, like, say, Alice in Wonderland or Snow White. In a week, you're building that outfit for it to perform for a night and to add to your repertoire.
Yeah.
So, but you still have what type of drag queen you are, which maintains the same. So me being a gothic fetish sort of drag queen, mm-hmm. no matter what, if I'm doing Snow White, I'm going to be the evil witch. Big black hair, doing lots of kinky stuff, where I'm not the innocent. So you kind of have the professional wrestling aspect of it. So who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? That's your type of character always remains the same. If you're a glamorous traditional drag queen, you'll rarely see them break out of that.
Right.
So all of their characters will be the glamorous version of the evil queen, where I would have the gothy version of the evil queen.
It's like so you have an overarching brand.
Night, it would be a different act.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. I love all the thought that goes into that and the processes. Maybe we can dig into that just a little bit more. But you know what? We do have another break, and the professor just woke up. So, Professor, are you okay? He's shaking his head. Yes, there is a thumbs up sign going on. He's ready to push the button and start playing all of your fantastic subscribers. You might just hear our voices on there for all I know. You know, Jessa Lee, she wrinkled her nose at me. So maybe not. So we'll see how it happens. Let's go to a quick break. We'll be right back. Hi guys, this is Sean Monkey McEnany, Monkey for short. What you need to know now is that brown chicken, brown cow needs your love. It needs your help, and personally, we could use your money. But short of that, what you need to do is go out and like our Facebook page. Number 2, give us a review on whatever podcast ability you have. Go out to iTunes, go out to Google Play, give us a good review because that helps. Number 3, subscribe. Subscribe to our podcast because that helps our numbers, helps us with advertisers, helps us with everything. It makes us look good, actually. And number 4, and this is very important, come close to the speaker. It's fantastic. You can go out to Patreon and support us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/BCBC podcast. You can support us at whatever level of support you think you can manage. I don't want you to give us money if you can't do it, but I want you to give us some money and we'll give you back some love as well. We'll give you back some stuff. We'll talk about you on the radio, who knows. But in the end, supporting us helps keep the show going. Subscribing to the podcast gives us better numbers. And liking our Facebook page, guess what? You always know when the show's coming. So, this is Monkey. You're you. We are together. Cuckoo, cuckoo, fantastic. See you on the next show.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
And we're back. Wasn't that quick?
That was quick.
It was like almost instant, like almost only a few seconds have passed.
Something like that.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Kitten, I'm wondering what do you wish people knew about drag?
What do I wish people... Oh, this is the one thing I wish people knew about drag. Normally, there's 2 performances every person does. There's the beginning of the show and the end of the show. And the audience is great, and they want to get to know you, and they want to touch you and shake your hand and say what they thought of your act. But in between Act 1 and Act 2, there's a costume change that needs to go on.
Oh shit! That's like a logistic thing to know.
Unlike being on Burlesque, where you're on stage, or most belly, where you're not in the audience. Often with drag, you end your performance in the audience. So the biggest thing I would tell people is, please don't take it awkwardly or badly if your favorite drag queen goes, "Thank you, but I gotta go," and runs to the back because she's being redressed for the next performance. Mm-hmm. Because the fans of drag are some of the best fans ever, because they want to do nothing but share their love with you. And I always feel bad for that one person who's waiting for that 3 or 10, 15 second interactions that they've been waiting for all night from their favorite drag queen, and watching that drag queen have to blow them off and rush past them. Aww. So beginning of the show, end of the show, to meet your favorites is always a great thing to know.
Yeah, nice. It can be difficult when you have that moment where you can reach out and make a connection, but this flurry of, being in the moment as the entertainer draws you away or makes you have to rush off or do something else. So let's go down the same line. What do you wish people knew about Burlesque in that vein?
What do I wish that people knew about Burlesque?
Yeah.
I think the Burlesque audiences are really getting into it. We're very lucky in Richmond. We have in Richmond, Virginia, we have some of the best performers for $5 you'll ever find.
$5.
It's really crazy. We can't get we don't really get a lot of big acts, but if you come down here on any Friday, Saturday night, you can find some sort of sideshow, ballet, burlesque, belly dancing, probably all of them combined. And for $5, you can be entertained. It's amazing.
I can't get a cup of coffee in California for $5.
And so Richmond is really, really unique that way. So we have really great educated audiences. So the audiences, instead of them having to do that, this is a burlesque show and people are going to get naked. And if you like them getting naked, we want you to hoot and holler. What I'm recommending, what I tell anybody is come to Richmond, Virginia. Come see a drag show or a burlesque show here in Richmond, Virginia, and you will get to know all of the good sorts of stuff to happen at a show, because the greatest thing I could tell somebody about a burlesque show is be a part of that live audience.
Absolutely.
Get involved.
Yeah, that's great. Get involved in any of the shows you'd go see, definitely. What is something that you wish people knew about you?
I'm an open book, love. All you have to do is look up on the internet. If you go to the right sites, you'll find way more than you'd ever wanted to know about me.
All right, where's my computer?
When you said open book, I thought you were going to say ask me anything. I didn't realize that there's like an encyclopedia of your life on the internet.
Is there just a wiki of
Well,
Kitten?
I haven't been one to hide the fact that I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Nor should
So
you.
that's why there's always a picture. I'm like, oh my God, I took that picture. Wow. There's still cake all over my face in that picture.
There's still cake.
Yeah, and I'll leave people just to imagine what I mean by chocolate cake all over my face.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
We were informed from the madam what you were kind of referencing there. Okay. I love leaving that
That's
just
good, because the
open.
madam was
Just
there
leaving
for
it
that
open.
one. That's all her fault.
It's all the madam's fault. Oh, finally, something's all the madam's fault.
Is she blushing?
No,
No.
she doesn't blush.
I would try to make her blush, but I'm kind of scared to try.
She just gave you the eyebrows.
She
Now,
did.
Yeah.
Don't try it unless you have lots of family experience with it.
Yeah, all right. What's something that you wish people knew about transgender performers?
That my body is not your information.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
when or if I had a piece of my body altered, had some body mod. I've never asked a person in my life, when did you get the nipple piercing done and why is it so big?
Yeah.
People find it's okay to ask me about my body modifications and the conditions of my body modifications and whether a body modification makes me male or female.
Right. Just don't go asking people about hella personal shit like that, maybe, just as a general rule of thumb.
I'm not
Don't
saying
be an
don't be
asshole.
personal with people, but don't be that personal with people.
Don't be an asshole is a great rule of thumb. What's something, I want to hear about like your personal philosophy, maybe that has been informed by your time as a performance artist. What's something
Sure,
you wish people knew?
Let me give you some about that.
Yeah.
I'm a 6'1", 6'2", 250 pounds. I said that before, one of the things. And the one thing that I was most frightened of about doing a transition was the fact that I couldn't physically pull it off. And I'm not saying that I physically pull it off, but I am so totally blessed and amazed by the way people treat me in my everyday life.
Wow.
Good.
I hear lots, and I understand a lot of my brothers and sisters go through horrible things.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I was incredibly blessed, and I'm blessed to live in Virginia, where even the people at Walmart respect me. And even in the earliest stages, they respected me and would go out of their way to make me feel comfortable in the skin that I was born in.
Man.
So I have a very loved story about, and I can go through, and I once listed it out as 100 items where things that happened to me in my transition that were beautiful when people just went out of their way to make sure that I felt respected. At work, I had a janitor, part-time worker, barely, I don't even think this guy's been to high school. And the first thing he did to me was come up and say to me, "What pronoun would you like me to call you? Because I want you to feel comfortable here."
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I want to hear more people on the gender spectrum getting respect like that, getting love like that. I want that. I want that everywhere, not just in Virginia.
And,
Which is a
well,
sentence
that's what
that
I want to say is that I'm not taking anything away from the people who said bad experiences. I've just been very blessed in mine being super positive.
That's great.
So I want to share the people who've been positive with me and hope that that inspires others to be positive in their lives. Because it's real easy to say, hey, that person's an asshole.
Right.
It's harder to bring up, because it's making me tear right now as I speak about it, the people who stepped out of the stereotypes I had of them, because you could hear, I'm telling this janitor who barely has a high school diploma. That's a stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
But when they step out and surprise me, I just love to shout that stuff out.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is beautiful.
Well, Kitten, your insight, your performance, your life, and the travels you've had are inspiring. It's beautiful, and the fact that you share that not only with performance art but burlesque and drag, and have turned this into a wonderful, wonderful career in life, and having these extra things. Like I said, I hope our listeners are able to feel your passion, and I know they can because I can right now. I have goosebumps. And are inspired to follow their bliss and follow what they are meant to do, or how they're supposed to be, or who they feel they are inside. So,
Amen.
yeah. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, and Jesselie.
Yeah,
You have
it's been. I do have things to say. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for being on our podcast, Kitten. It's been so great getting to know you and hearing about all the awesome stuff you're doing. And thank you for sharing your personal experiences with us. It's been
Thank
really
you.
great.
And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, please do. I believe the show will have my contact information for me. If you just need somebody to talk to or to understand your transition, please.
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to listen.
Great, that's awesome. Cool. Well, again, thank you so much, Kitten. And this has been the Brown Chicken Brown Cow podcast. We're so excited that you've been listening with us. And that's it. That's all, folks.
Is that it?
That's it? Is
No.
that it? No,
No?
it's not it.
You sure?
Why are you?
Why? What?
You like set me up. For
I don't know what you're. Who?
Okay, we've got some.
Where am I?
We've got some ways that you can support us. Is that where we're going with
No,
this?
we did that before.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make you kind of,
You're just making me blush. It's
Oh,
working.
yay! Stop
Ah,
monkey.
shit.
All
I'll
right.
just say something in like 3 seconds to make you blush.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Brown chicken, brown cow. 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 This is fun. Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow.